Alright, so this Saturday we have the Matchroom versus Queensbury show. Now, originally the main event of this show was obviously going to be Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. We know that's going to get rescheduled, we just don't know when. So instead, and this fight was obviously already on the card, Wilder versus Zhang, Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang, that has now been moved to the main event. And this is a really good fight. It is. It does kind of feel like the card itself, it does sort of feel like it's been kind of, it's not got the same allure. It's still a good card, but like losing Beterbiev Bivol, it's kind of like, because that's what we all wanted to see. But don't get me wrong, it's still a very good card. Now, this main event, on paper, this should be a really good fight. We have two absolutely massive punchers. One of them, we don't really know where he's at in his career in terms of, his headspace. Has he lost the killer instinct? Is he shot? We really don't know. The other guy, and obviously I'm talking about Wilder in that situation, the other guy in Zhilei Zhang, well, it's kind of, again, it's very difficult. Like, he's in his 40s. He is a big puncher. He's a massive puncher. He's probably fresher, even though he's in his 40s, than Wilder is. He hasn't taken the beatings that Wilder's taken. But he has arguably, in terms of the top heavyweights, the worst stamina bar none. I mean, this guy has no this guy makes Anthony Joshua look like Carl Froch in terms of stamina. So we really don't know what we're going to get. Before we go in and we break this fight down, let's go through the tail of the tape very, very quickly. Deontay Wilder brings a professional record of 43 wins, 3 defeats with 1 draw. Two of those losses have been by stoppage. 42 wins by way of knockout. In terms of wins, he's knocked out everyone he's fought. Stavern went the distance, but he stopped him in the rematch. One of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division is Deontay Wilder, but he's 38 years old. He's 6'7" with an 83-inch reach, and to be blunt, in his last 4 fights, he's won 1 of them. He's had 3 losses in his last 4 fights. 2 of those, again, have been via stoppage. Now let's contrast that with Zhilei Zhang. Now, Zhilei Zhang is the older. He's 41 years old. He's 6'6" from China, fighting out at the southpaw stance. His record of 26 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw with 21 knockouts. He is one of the biggest punchers, if not the biggest, in the heavyweight division. He's coming in off the back of a loss. Both guys are coming in off the back of a loss to Joseph Parker. However, if you look at his last 4 fights, well, it's still not amazing. He's won 2 of his last 4, which is a 50% conversion rate. But they've been a decision that many people feel was dubious against Philip Hurd, which a lot of people felt like he won the fight. Some people do still feel like he beat Joseph Parker. So in the eyes of some, he's arguably won his last 4 fights. In the eyes of some, not saying necessarily me. And back-to-back wins over Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut, who many thought had an iron chin. That got him a WBO interim title. He then lost to Joseph Parker, and obviously the Hrgovic fight was an IBF final eliminator. So they're both coming off the back of defeats to Joseph Parker, but certainly Zhilei Zhang gave a much better account of himself against Joseph Parker than Deontay Wilder did. He dropped Joseph Parker twice. He gasped pretty bad, and even then he lost, I should say, a majority decision. Whereas Deontay Wilder, he was never in that fight. I mean, if you look at the scorecards for that fight, one of the judges, Steve Gray, he didn't give a round to Deontay Wilder. So Wilder made no case of winning that fight. At least with Zhilei Zhang, there's an argument there that he nicked the fight. So, going into this fight, you would say Zhilei Zhang, according to the form guide anyway, he is the slightly more informed heavyweight out of the 2. It really is last chance saloon. It's loser leaves town for both these guys. At 41 years old, Zhilei Zhang, there's not really going to be many more opportunities coming his way, and chances are his prime years are well and truly gone, but how much does he have left in the tank? And with Deontay Wilder, he's 39 years old in October. He's been stopped twice. Both of them were bad stoppage losses where he took a fair beating in both of them. So again, questions are how much is there left in the tank? A lot of people felt there was still something left with his win over Robert Helenius, but you need to remember that he had sparred several rounds. He knew Robert Helenius very well. He knew what he was getting with Robert Helenius. He was able to find a right hand against a guy who's never been that durable to begin with. And then he goes in against Joseph Parker and looks a complete shell of himself. He struggled with the timing. The right hand, when he did throw it, was not accurate at all. You used to watch Deontay Wilder feeling a change in this fight, even if he's getting outboxed, can come like that any moment. You watch that Joseph Parker fight, you don't feel that. You just feel like, nothing is going to come from Deontay Wilder. There's going to be literally nothing. Whereas you contrast that, as I said, with Zhilei Zhang. Zhang had Parker down twice in the fight. And Joseph Parker has a good chin. He takes a pretty good shot. The shots that dropped Joseph Parker, in particular the first knockdown, it looked so innocuous. Like Zhilei Zhang wasn't even trying to hit hard. And yet he was still able to drop Joseph Parker on the seat of his pants. So Zhilei Zhang has tremendous punching power. And he is a lot more, gung-ho than Deontay Wilder is, certainly at this point in his career. I get the impression with Zhilei Zhang, he just ran out of ideas. He ran out of steam in that fight very early on. It was very worrying that he ran out of steam so early. But even if there was anything he wanted to try and do to get himself back into the fight, he just didn't have the gas tank. Whereas Wilder wasn't fought at a frantic pace. You didn't think that the gas tank was emptied. He just was seemingly just content with just getting outboxed and not going through the motions, not going through the gears, not having the old fire that he used to have. This fight, both guys being massive punchers, you would imagine that a knockout is likely what's going to happen. And I agree, I think it's going to be likely a knockout. It really could be a case of when, because with certain fights you would say, okay, it's this guy early on, best chance, this guy late on. Both guys have the power at any given time in this fight to just, there it is, it's done. At any given time. Zhilei Zhang comes out quick. Deontay Wilder, although he has got a lot of first round knockouts in his career, certainly at a high level, he tends to have a look at his opponent. He tends to kind of try and fiddle his way in, work around, and just kind of get an idea of the movement, or at least he did in his prime, of what the opponent is doing. Especially when he's fighting the southpaw, his punch output drops. When he fought Spilka, it took him 9 rounds to really understand what he was dealing with in there with Spilka's in and out movement. When he was able to time him, that was probably the best knockout of his career. Arguably, anyway. When he fought Ortiz both times, Ortiz outboxing him early on, and Ortiz is not a quick heavyweight, to say the least. He's not a quick heavyweight, but he let Ortiz just get on his boxing, outbox him, do this, do that, and eventually he was like, okay, I know what he's doing this, let me throw a right hand here. That's Wilder of a couple of years ago, of 5 years ago. I don't think we have that Deontay Wilder anymore. I think that we have a Deontay Wilder now where even if he reads Zhilei Zhang, and Zhilei Zhang is not a quick heavyweight, he probably won't be able to. I doubt, I say he probably won't, but I don't trust him to pull that trigger. I really don't. I mean, if he couldn't do it against Joseph Parker, I'm struggling. And again, against Zhilei Zhang, you got to figure that he is going to have firepower the likes of which he has never seen before. I mean, if he thought Tyson Fury hit hard, that's nothing compared to what Zhilei Zhang is going to bring to the table. And Zhilei Zhang's power is there from the get-go, and it's there without him even really trying. Ask Joseph Parker, ask Joe Joyce. And the fact of the matter is, Deontay Wilder is a one-trick pony. It's all in the right hand. Zhilei Zhang has a big left hand with a big right hook too. And I can just see that. And if I remember correctly, Ortiz, in the first fight, when he stunned Deontay Wilder, was it not a right hook that caused all the trouble early on? A nice little counter right hook. He's open to that shot. And again, Ortiz is not a quick heavyweight. Even back then, he wasn't a particularly quick heavyweight. Zhilei Zhang, not the quickest around, but accurate. Very accurate when he lets his shots go. Very good technique. He was a good amateur with Zhilei Zhang. A lot more refined than Deontay Wilder. It's hard to get worse than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, in the build-up to this fight, even before this fight was announced, in several interviews, he's talked about having his killer instinct back and finding the fire. He was saying this, 2 months after he fought Joseph Parker. So all of a sudden, come the end of December, it wasn't there. Fast forward to early February, all of a sudden it's there. You're taking his word at face value. I definitely don't take his word at face value. Everything you see of Wilder now, it's a far cry from the Wilder we saw a few years ago. Back then, he really did have a bee in his bonnet. He really was talking about causing all these damage, saying he likes to do this, he wants to do that, all these things. And he was going in there and he was arguing, he was trying to do it. He was trying to really hurt these guys. He was trying to look for maximum power, do as much damage. Whereas now, you can tell by the way he talks that that's not there anymore. Maybe it's the Graham Hancock, maybe it's the effect that Malik Scott has had on him, but all that fire just seems gone. Whereas Zhilei Zhang is going in there to take your head off. It's just a case of will he have enough left in the tank to be able to do it later on in the fight? And therein is the big question. Wilder has never showed that much issue with stamina. The only time he's ever really noticeably shown it is when he's tried to come in heavy. And that's just, completely antithetical to how his body is designed. He's light, a very light man, even though he is tall. When he's packed on unnecessary muscle, it's come back to bite him because it's not helped him in any way. He's not been any stronger because he's fighting guys who are way bigger than him, and it's just taken away from his stamina. So I would imagine he's going to come in the 2 teens. Zhilei Zhang, it could be, maybe he will have learned from the Joseph Parker fight and won't quite come in 290. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in a bit lighter, maybe even in the 270s. He's going to have a weight advantage regardless. And Wilder, he better be ready to be getting pushed back. Because Zhilei Zhang, I reckon, is going to try and rough Wilder up in the clinches. If Wilder even tries to fight fire with fire in the clinches, he's in for trouble because he's going to get tired. You're never going to be as strong as Zhilei Zhang. You're 215 pounds, he's 280 pounds. You're never going to push him back. You're never going to be as strong as him in the clinch. He's going to manhandle you. Try and avoid letting him clinch you, to be honest with you, because it's just going to take away from you. If he's trying to clinch, try and get a free hand. Try and just even punch your way out. Try and even just make him work. Make him work, because if you can make Zhilei Zhang work, his gas tank is so bad that any kind of unnecessary work you get is going to take a little bit more out of him. It's going to make him slower, more stationary, more easy to hit, more chance for you to land the right hand. And you can definitely hurt Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang looks like he takes a good shot, but you can take a good shot. Joseph Parker takes a good shot. Joe Joyce takes a good shot. You can still get dropped and knocked out. So that would be an advice I'd be giving to Wilder. If he does try and not let him clinch you. Try and keep moving to the side. Try and use your jab. I know his jab is not amazing, but listen, it doesn't have to be amazing. Just keep it popping that jab. If he comes in close, try and get a free hand. Try and make him work when he doesn't want to. And for the love of God, be careful of that right hook, because he's a good counter right hook. You're Zhilei Zhang, you're pretty much looking, I would say for Zhilei Zhang, come out of the get-go early, which he has a tendency to do. Come out of the get-go early, look to shock Deontay Wilder early on. Look to just start letting that left hand go from early on before he has a chance to really read you and get the timing right. Because I think you'll land. I think you do a 1-2, a right jab, left cross, I think it's going to land. And if you can get the chance, if Deontay Wilder is, flicking that jab out, maybe take a little step in, come over it, maybe even feint with your own right jab, and then just come in with the right hook. I think you'll have a great chance of catching Wilder with that shot. Or if Wilder maybe takes a step in, he comes into range, and you're in range, just lead with that right hook. I think it's there for him. I really do. I think that shot is going to be there for Zhilei Zhang, the right hook. And I think that's the shot. If I was Wilder, or in Team Wilder, I'd be saying, worry more about that right hook than the left hand. You might be able to telegraph the left hand. You might be able to see it coming. The right hook is a shot that not enough people speak about. Ask Joe Joyce, he couldn't get out of the way of it. So be very careful of that. And if you can knock out Joe Joyce, Deontay Wilder, it's going to send him from Saudi Arabia all the way back to Tuscaloosa. He won't even need a plane ticket. So he's got to be very wary of that. Wilder, I would be saying, try and survive. If he comes at you early on and there's an early onslaught, try and survive that, because if you can, it's easier said than done. There's a good chance he's going to gas. There's a very good chance he's going to gas, and there's a very good chance you'll be able to get your shots off, land your shots, throw that right hand to the body, which is something that I've always been amazed Wilder doesn't do enough of, because there's so much power in that right hand. If you're throwing at the chest, you're throwing at the body, it's going to bring the hands down. You see with Joseph Parker, he was throwing right hands to the head, and all Zhang was doing was just blocking. He wasn't going to the body enough. It's not a hard body, it's a soft body. You go to that body, bring the gloves down, little body shot, boom, right hand down the pipe. There you go. It's bringing the arms down, bringing the guard down, and it's taken away from Zhilei Zhang's legs. It's taken more of his stamina away. So I'd be amazed. Honestly, I'm amazed he doesn't do that shot more. It's a great shot to have in your arsenal, especially if you've got a big right hand like Deontay Wilder. So what I would say the keys for both guys: Wilder, survive the early onslaught, be wary of the right hook. If he's trying to clinch, don't let him, or if he is, try and make him work in the clinch and throw that right hand to the body, look to set it up with the head. Zhilei Zhang, come out of the traps early on, before Deontay Wilder has a chance to settle. Try and rough him up in the clinches, let the left hand go, but look to counter with the right hook as well. The right hook's going to be crucial I think, in this fight for Zhilei Zhang, because I don't think Deontay Wilder's defense is great to that shot. I really don't. Ultimately, I think I can see this fight going long. I can see it going mid rounds. I can see it going short. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a knockout result either way. Whether it's Wilder or Zhang, whether it's early, late, or mids, it's going to be a knockout for either guy. But I got to pick who I think is going to win this fight. And I think that, judging by what I've seen from Deontay Wilder in recent interviews, seeing how I know he's the captain of Matchroom, which you'd never think. The way he's looked to me, and from what I've heard of even other fighters, even the likes of Matty Harris saying they think it's a cash out, I don't have any faith in him. I don't have any faith in him turning up. I don't have any faith in him finding that old bronze bomber, that old fire, that old desire. I don't have any faith in it. And I think Zhilei Zhang is going to win this fight. I'm going to say mid-round stoppage. I'm going to say between rounds 5 and 8. Between rounds 5 and 8, I reckon that's when Zhilei Zhang may touch down. Wilder may touch down before this. But I think those mid-rounds, if Zhilei Zhang has enough left in the tank, he's going to take Deontay Wilder out. It wouldn't shock me listen, this fight could end early for either guy. If it was to end early, I would say it's more likely Zhilei Zhang ends this fight early than Deontay Wilder does. I would say Wilder, his probably best chance is late on, if he has enough left in the tank, if he's coming in at the right weight. But I would say early on, Zhilei Zhang, probably the more dangerous of the two, early on anyway. So that's my pick. Zhilei Zhang to win this fight, mid-round stoppage. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It'd be interesting to see what odds the bookies are giving on this fight, because from whoever I've spoke to, they've all seemingly gone with Zhilei Zhang. The majority I've seen are like, Zhilei Zhang's got this. So let me know in the comment section who you have. Wilder versus Zhang. It is a good fight. I'm expecting a knockout. I think even if both guys try and be defensive, a big shot from either man is going to get through at some point. So expect certainly some fireworks. I think that this fight just is guaranteed fireworks, regardless of where Deontay Wilder's at in his career. Regardless. And yeah, I expect Zhilei Zhang to get the win. Obviously, if Deontay Wilder does win and he wins in style, the AJ fight then is a bit of a no-brainer. In Wembley Stadium, you wouldn't need a world title. The fans would just tune into that regardless. So there could be a lot riding on this for Deontay Wilder. Don't really know what's riding on it for Zhilei Zhang, to be honest with you, but maybe a Joshua fight, who knows. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And for now, I'll leave it there. Peace.